The Premier League winter January transfer window is only 28 days away. And there are two players that I want to talk about who have been heavily linked to multiple clubs. But the one Premier League club who has been heavily linked to a left winger for the last 3 years, from players like Nico Williams, Emirates, who they signed, Gordon from Newcastle, Rafa Leao from AC Milan. And now there are two more players, Rodrygo and Yildiz. And Rodrygo at the moment has not scored a Premier League, a La Liga goal for Real Madrid in 23 plus games. He is on one of the worst runs of his career, and it is clear to see that Xabi Alonso at this moment in time does not have plans for Rodrygo to stick around. And I personally believe Rodrygo will leave in either January or the summer. He was heavily linked to Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and a number of Premier League clubs. But another player in Italy, Yildiz, who at the moment in time is one of the hottest players to come out of Serie A. He's a huge prospect, 20 years of age, Turkish, German descent, but plays for Turkey. 12 games in Serie A, 7 goal contributions. He's got 10 goal contributions this season. But there isn't another player for me like this at the moment in time. He's played 62 games as a predominant second striker, 50 games as a left winger, 20 games as an attacking mid, 17 games as a right mid. His versatility ticks so many boxes, and everyone knows Mikel Arteta loves versatility. Every single one of his players, from basically centre-back going forward, can play multiple positions, bar maybe Victor Gyökeres. You know, Timber's a centre-back who can play right-back. Lewis Skelly can play midfield. The centre-backs rotate quite a lot. Ben White can play centre-back. Zubimendi can basically play any of those midfield positions, same as Declan Rice, same as Martin Odegaard, same as Emirates, who can also play out wide. The wingers rotate. And I think Yildiz at the moment is heavily linked with a lot of Premier League clubs. But what's really interesting is Matteo Togosny, who's joined Arsenal as a director role back in the summer, who will be assisting Andrea Berta, was the main guy who was responsible for identifying players like Dean Huijsen, was responsible for signing players like Yildiz. You know, he's going to be heavily part of, reshaping the future of Arsenal Football Club from a recruitment side of things, assisting Andrea Berto, who had a really good summer, bringing in players like Gyökeres, Eze, Zubimendi, made Arsenal a force. Of course, they play later today. If they beat Brentford, they remain 5 points clear of Manchester City. Chelsea got a huge game as well away to Leeds. There's a lot to get into this video. Make sure you go down and drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button. The road to 100,000 subscribers is well and truly on. And you know what's insane? 92% of you, yes, you, who watch the channel on a daily basis has not subscribed. So what are you waiting for? Go down, hit this like and subscribe button whenever it wants to show up. Okay, it doesn't want to show up. Okay, the like button. Okay, there's clearly a problem there with the animation. But you get the drift. Go down and hit that subscribe button. Now, Yildiz to Arsenal. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Big Turkish reports coming out from Turkey that Chelsea and Arsenal wait for the Italian giants, Juventus, to pin him down to a new deal. The way it continues for a new contract, Team Talk are saying there is no progress has been made despite intense transfer interest from top Premier League clubs, including Arsenal and Chelsea. Interest is the latest elite side. Arsenal is I can't even speak today, guys. Arsenal is the latest elite side to be linked with a 20-year-old creator, following reports suggesting that the Gunners made an inquiry about him, potentially putting them against Chelsea in the race. Now, if you're Yildiz right now, Chelsea have got so many wingers on their payroll. They've got, Jamie Gittins, got Nacho, they've got Pedro Neto, they've got João Pedro, who plays out wide for them as well. They sign a lot of wingers. And I think right now their kind of aim is to develop players like Estavo as well, who plays out wide. They've also got Cole Palmer, who can play out wide. They've got a lot of young technical wingers, whereas Arsenal at the moment, when you look at the team that played against Chelsea, now Martinelli and Trossard are both, I think you could say, when they're on form, they are both very, very good, but they do have slight inconsistencies in their game. They could both go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games without a goal, etc. That was the 11 that played against Chelsea and vice versa that played against Arsenal. I think Yildiz is an upgrade on Neto, Martinelli, Trossard, Garnacho. The only two wingers that both these clubs have that for me is not an upgrade on is Gustavo and Saka. But bearing in mind, he's only 20 years of age. The contracts at the moment have been delayed according to various sources out in Turkey. Team Talk have also said that as well. Romano said that recently that, he wants to play at Juventus, but right now, when you look at Yildiz, he's a very, very ambitious player. He's a big, big fan of Del Piero. And I think right now that if they don't pin him down to a new contract, he potentially could leave. Now, his contract does expire, I think, in 2027. I think I could be right on that. 2029, sorry. So he's only got, it sounds a lot like he's got a lot left on it, but it is 2026 in 28 days, which is absolutely insane. Now, I don't know if there's a release clause that hasn't been said in his contract, but he is 20 years of age. He's valued at 75 million euros, which is about 70 million pounds, as you can see on Transfer Market. But the beauty of it is he can play all three positions across the line. He can play as a second striker. He can play as a left winger. He can play as a cam. And when you actually look at his numbers, that's where it gets, absolutely insane, because I don't think there is another player like Yildiz in Serie A right now at that age where you think like he's so versatile when it comes down to the positions he can play. Throughout his career, I think he's played. Here you go. You can see it now on Transfer Market. Like how many other players right now, 20 years of age, have played 62 games second striker, 50 games left winger, 19 as an attacking midfielder, and 17 as a right winger? He is very, very versatile, and he's got 21 goals and 16 assists, which is 37 GA in 102. And bearing in mind, he's only 20 years of age. And right now, Juventus aren't anywhere near, the recent Juventus sides that we have seen. They're currently 7th in Serie A. They're 5 points off of the top. They don't look like they're in unbelievable form. They have won, I think, 3 of the last 5 games, but they're not scoring a huge amount. They haven't had the best of Champions League campaigns either. So I do believe personally he will be on the move. And this is where it gets really interesting, because Hand of Arsenal put this out in June, saying that my understanding is that Matteo Togozny will join Arsenal as a sub-director role to assist Andrea Berta. Mr. Togozny was responsible in identifying such talents as Yildiz, Sule, and Huijsen for the Juventus Next Gen program. An excellent coup for Arsenal to reshape their future. Now, obviously, he's probably got a very, very good understanding of the Italian market. The fact that a new contract hasn't been agreed yet, people are putting 2 and 2 together, heavily linking him to Arsenal. The fact that they do need a left winger, it kind of makes a lot of sense on paper. Of course, football isn't played on paper. But that's a really interesting story, and we'll have to wait to see what happens in January. Another one, Rodrygo has officially asked to leave Real Madrid. The Brazilian winger recognizes a January departure is improbable, but remains hopeful of securing a move in the summer. The Brazilian hasn't scored in 30 matches for the club. It's the longest streak without a goal by any attacker in the club's history. I don't know what to really make of Rodrygo, because when he was on it under Ancelotti, he was an unbelievable talent. He really, really was. He was scoring big goals in the Champions League. He was, everyone remembers those quarterfinals against Manchester City, winning Champions League, playing predominantly out of position. But again, he is a left winger that a lot of teams will be interested in. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc. are all interested. So it will be, I'm not necessarily sure Liverpool will go in for him. I think Arsenal potentially could in summer. But what's really interesting is Gabriel Jesus, for me, will probably leave in the summer. I do think Trossard or Martinelli, one of those will go. Trossard's, 31 years of age now. Arteta likes, to develop players and mold them into what he can, which he probably would do with Yildiz. Trossard's obviously a very experienced player in the Premier League. However, I do think Yildiz would be an upgrade in him. Now, Trossard at the moment has been very good this season. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's got 1 goal in the Champions League and 2 assists. In the Premier League, he's got 3 goals, 3 assists. So he's got, 9 goal contributions in 14 appearances. Plus he scored in the League Cup. He is definitely a threat for Arsenal, but I do think there are players out there that are upgrades on him. Now, Romano has said a number of times that, Arsenal are in the market for a left winger. They've always been, in the market for a left winger. Romano actually said yesterday that Arsenal agreed a deal to sign 16-year-old Ecuadorian twins Edwin and Holger Quintero. Now, an agreement is in place after the Quintero brothers traveled to London this week. Deal valid. I'm not entirely. I'm not going to lie. I don't really know anything about these players. That's probably linked to the thing that kind of Arsenal said with regards to their program in developing players. This is probably heavily linked with that. But it looks like they're going to bring up 2, future stars in the making coming out from Romano. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Romano tweets out leading up to the start of the transfer window. Romano put this saying, Erling Haaland, we shouldn't think too much about Arsenal. We should focus on ourselves, try and improve, avoid things like this happening today because it's not good. And we all know this. We need to improve as a team. That's what our focus should be. And that was after last night's crazy game in a 5-4 win. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Yildiz or Rodrygo will join Arsenal or any other club? Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time.